Swirly! 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 What have they done to you? My boy! My child! How could they take you away from us like this? My boy Swirly! Hello everyone! I know it's been a very long time since I've done what I normally do around here, and that is talk about Yugioh Sevens. I'm sure many of you are probably like, oh, he finally gave up, he finally hates it, he's joined the rest of us in hating Yu-Gi-Oh! No, it's not that at all. It is literally just the fact that I decided to review 4 shows this past anime season, since 3 of which were on regular streaming type things. It was just a lot easier to keep up with them. Also, just the way days and timing kept up, it just became easier to just get through those and try and catch up with Yugioh Sevens intermediately. Did not realize I'd get, 8 episodes behind? Yeah, wasn't expecting this one. So before we get into the meat and potatoes, I will just go into the big things. If I remember correctly, the last one I watched was Yuga versus Luke in order to become president, or whatever the fuck that was. So we're starting off with Duel Zombie. Just real quick, this one's funny. I actually really enjoyed this one. It's a lot of the same kind of humor, just zombies. But what I really enjoyed about this one is Gakuto doesn't get enough screen time. He really doesn't have as much to do as the others, and I get it. Yuga's your protagonist, Luke is your best friend, Roman's the waifu, all of whom are, damn it computer, all of whom are much more marketable characters than him, so he's kind of like in the Tristan role, where you just don't really know what to do with him. Ironic, considering I think Gakuto is kind of a modernization of Tristan. If any of you are familiar with the original manga, the joke was Tristan was actually like a high-strung model student type like Gakuto. But yeah, him getting a chance to be the star and have a lot of fun and actually win a duel was entertaining, and some of the zombie jokes were done very well, as most of the jokes is. All the actors really deliver their lines with a lot of fun. But of course, the big thing that this sets up is the whole thing with Swirly, which we will get into in a minute, because of course next we have to talk about episode 75, The Mystery of Yuga. I'm kind of conflicted on this one. I really like the idea of everyone just being like, we really don't know much about Yuga, do we? Like, I've kind of been thinking about this the whole show, and that is, this is the guy we know the least about, so the idea that there could be a lot more to him could be a really cool, interesting twist, and I really liked the way this episode went about it. Everyone just in their minds kind of like questioning it, not sure what to think, where do we go, what do we do? I mean, to a certain extent, like, obviously, Roa is a manipulative asshole, so of course he's just gonna want to force everyone to get the answers. I like the way of Asuna being like the sort of yin to the yang sort of thing, like you should just trust him blindly and that kind of thing, and their duel is a lot of fun. So I really enjoy that though, and like when we got to the room, when we got to where they thought Yuga's house was, and you have all the creepy 7 Yugas, I'm like, oh, maybe this will go something really cool and really neat and really interesting. Then it turned out it was the ninja girl, because then Magical Girl Roman shows up. Okay, that was pretty funny. Magical Girl Roman shows up, and it's just sort of like, oh no, this was some sort of weird plan delusion thing. You guys are back into it. And again, I liked seeing those bug ninjas again. That was kind of fun, but it's just kind of like, well, it would be kind of interesting if there was a little more to Yuga. And I love Yuga, but I just kind of would maybe be more invested a little bit if there was a little more meat on the bone. Like after Yusaku also having very little else to him besides being a Lost Incident victim, I kind of was sort of hoping maybe they would do something a little more interesting with Yuga's past, but it's kind of neat when, like, you see his, was it this episode or the next one, where you do see he's got a mom, and, like, he is actually just a normal kid, he's just smart. There is value to that, too, but I kind of was just sort of feeling like, oh, that would be sort of cool. But, of course, the end of this episode is where we find out what is mostly going on here, and that is that Yuga and Luke are trying to figure out why is Swirly still like a zombie? What happened to him? What's going on here? I don't know why they didn't tell Roman or Gakuto, I guess. But yeah, they don't. And then our hero, and then these two just go off to figure it out by themselves. They're investigating. This results in them Yuga having to duel Tiger in a pure filler duel. Where Yuga fucking loses. We're 76 episodes in. I don't want the hero losing to people he beat. I don't want him losing anymore. I know I've talked before about characters being more vulnerable and losing, and it's good at first, but by episode 76, I want to be kicking ass and taking names. But yeah, so he loses to Tiger, which then... that's when we meet Yuga's mom, and we find he's just a normal kid who likes to invent and tinker. And again, I have no problem with this because I love Yuga, and I do think there is merit to the idea of he's just a smart kid who just committed himself. That's pretty cool. But again, I still would like, a little more something. I feel like this show does, while I love it, does have a bad habit of kind of setting stuff up, deciding against it, and, like, it'll be funny, and it's always entertaining, but sometimes I am starting to just feel maybe a little lack of substance. Like, sometimes I think you can be a little too comedic and too meta, and even maybe a little bit too smart for your own good, and I think that might be what's happening here. So then, episode 77. Remember when the Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, like, they actually were fucking trying? So this is the one with the meeting... where shit goes down. And, damn, there's a lot of good shit in this to talk about. The big thing in this episode is we have the meeting with Yugioh or whatever, the Goha sibling. And they're all like, what's going on here? I don't know. Let's go to the printing press. And when we get to the printing press... Swirly's all like, it's time to duel, and the duel disc flies out of the helmet, and then Swirly duels Fusion Kid, and wins, and so our big revelation, and they talked about it before, but we'll talk about it all now, is that Monster Reborn, one of the most used cards in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, that has an effect that every fucking deck in this game, and multiple times in this show, is a forbidden card that somehow causes a reaction in people's brains that to varying degrees will mess with their minds. Okay, look, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! It's always ridiculous and wacky and insane, and that's why we love it. My issue here, and this is going to sound strange to a lot of people, like, why is this where you draw the line? I don't know. I don't know why this is where I draw the line in this regard. But for me, to suddenly, after 77 episodes of not necessarily being grounded, but kind of having a set established rules to the way the show works, to suddenly throw in magic mind control cards after, mind you, not really having this plot element for 5 actual years now, is just kind of like, what? Why? How? Where? I don't know, like, it's just kind of so, and it sort of plays back into the problem that I had with Fusion and the way that was handled, and just sort of like this idea that now this thing that up until this show in this universe has just been a normal aspect to it, or something they'll just not mention if they don't want to, all of a sudden it's just kind of like this huge thing, and I'm like, why Monster Reborn? This card's not even that good anymore. We have Ghost Bell. If someone activates Ghost Bell or Chains DD Crow, does it not work? Is that what's going on here? I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm kind of like, I think it's just maybe pushing my limits too much. But yeah, no, so then we move on to the kid loses and Swirly wins, where afterwards, or maybe it was still during the duel, I don't remember. But anyways, at some point, yeah, it's when he plays Monster, it doesn't fucking matter. Swirly just like comes out in the form of a black tar out of the Swirly costume, where it reveals that Yuga Goha was not our Yuga, but another kid just named Yuga. And I'm sitting there and I burst out laughing and I'm like, oh yeah, people can have the same first name. Why is that crazy? It shouldn't be, but oh yeah, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! So it is that crazy. That's the little things that like the show does that I really like. Not magic copies of Monster Reborn. Keep doing that shit. But yeah, no, so he comes out, and the weird thing about him is that he kind of looks like Yuga, main character Yuga. He's got the same sort of hair, and even though, yeah, it's obviously Swirly's voice actor, kudos to Swirly's voice actor. Holy shit! Like, man, does he fucking make this work. Like, god damn it. Not since Kensho Onna with Yuya and Yuri has an actor carried the show so much on their back that way. Like, the way he transitions from Swirly to Yuga, from good and cute to, like, evil and insane to malicious, and then back again for this week's episode. Like, god damn, this guy is doing it great. But yeah, no, he comes out and he just commands the presence, man. It's so good. I also love the way the last couple episodes have used like shadow and depth of field to really like make him look more scarier and powerful than he probably actually is. It's actually a pretty clever way to establish him as a threat. He's just so much more beyond anyone else in the show, and he's so much just bigger and scarier. And that's really cool. And the way he takes out a character who up until this point was like represented as being like above everyone else and powerful and like can't really lose a duel. Like the way he just gets taken out like he's nothing, it's actually pretty goddamn cool. And I really like this introduction. And even at the end there, oh, and I like the twist that the helmet was actually working for him the whole time. That's really cool. And to find out the freaking bug ninjas were also working for this dude, and this was all just sort of a crazy plan for him to come back. Why didn't Tiger just say this? She has no problem saying anything else. Why not just be like, hey, there's a problem. Even if they don't listen, you're bigger than them. Beat them up. But yeah, no. And so he just flies off and just like shit's about to go down. And so then we fast forward to episode 78, Yuga Goha. And yeah, this is also really good. I kind of think that's this interesting idea that in the previous episode, we established that Yuga won. He set out to accomplish his goal and his plan worked. His whole point was to getting into Goha was so he could just like hack them and infiltrate programs that make it impossible to destroy rush duels and allows for everyone to be creative and come up with their own fun new duel formats and basically just not live like a sheep. He did it! He beat the government or the corporation. He fucking freed everybody and he just tooled and toyed with everyone. That's pretty fucking cool. Then, to have it that someone just went in there and took Yuga's own logic and, like, took his goal and, like, just twisted it and then used everyone's sense of, like, vanity or self-importance and ego to his own advantage like that to just fuck with everything and just start creating a problem, that's actually a very clever, creative way to set up your protagonist and antagonist. Yuga wants to create, this guy wants to destroy. He wants to bring everything tumbling to the ground, and he's not going to just be like, brr, I'm in charge. He's going to twist everybody to do it. And that's cool, and that's clever, and that's creative. And then he duels them, and Monster Reborn just wipes everyone's memories. But how it does it seems to be a little bit different. Like, I'm confused. What is going on? Because, like, with the food kids, it's sort of like, okay, so they don't remember dueling, but he doesn't want to get rid of dueling. He just wants to be crazy. So, like, why do they not remember Roman? They go to the same school or some shit. I don't know, like, I don't know, it's just kind of like they're throwing so much at you with this Monster Reborn thing at once. Like, why is it affecting some people more? Why is it affecting some people less? What is happening here? But yeah, no, so he does that, and he's wiping everyone's memories. I do like the idea that the memory wipe, though, is shown as creepy. It's unsettling. The way everyone is changed, the way everyone is different. That idea that just, like, in an instant, everything is just taken away from you. I often say that I hate memory erase subplots because they're lazy, but if you do one correctly, it can really be an interesting, scary concept, and I think there's a lot of that at play here. I just wish the setup made more sense. But yeah, no, so then we find out Yuga has been working on bait to lure in other Yuga, where he's got a thumb drive that if he activates the thumb drive will delete all the extra dueling forms to end the madness. And so then him and evil Yuga duel, and our Yuga, the Goha presidents are just kind of there. They're like, what do we do? Watch this, I guess. I don't know. I love how, like, the evil Yuga just locks the door and they don't think of another way to get out. I feel like there's another way to get there. Like, just do it. But yeah, no, so him and Yuga start to duel. I like that Yuga's on all cylinders, like starts out with a maximum. This is a very fun, entertaining duel, and I really enjoyed it. Yuga, though, passes out from mental exhaustion and anguish because he's been working on this program too much, and also he's still worn out from his duel with Tiger. So he passes out. Luke and crew show up, ready to help, ready to fight back. Everyone is there. Nail's there. Asuna's there. Roa's there. The one I brought up, they do nothing with Gakuto, is there. And so Yuga passes out. Luke goes to take over. And I kind of like this. Luke always has this problem of they obviously want to represent him as egotistical, which can be fine most of the time, but I always have this problem with egotistical characters of when they're done wrong, I'm just like, why the fuck are you even here? But this was done right. I like the idea that deep down, even though his ego can get ahead of him, he still wanted to save Yuga and finish the duel and help his friend and keep everyone safe. And that is what he goes into this duel to do. And I'll say this much, they have handled the transition from more comedic nature to more serious nature very well. You genuinely believe everyone is taking this seriously and doing whatever they can to stop this lunatic. So yeah, then the duel commences and goes on, and it's very back and forth. I like that. But right when Yuga activates Monster Reborn, again, a card that has been always shown as being very normal in these shows, and again, has an effect kind of outdated, because most decks in the show just have recycling built into them. Luke is about to have his memories erased, and I like the way it's sort of done, the way it's like in his head, where he's sort of like, oh, it's so peaceful as they go away, and I like that he's almost like witnessing it, like he's just watching as his head is just like completely unraveled from the inside out. It's very simple, subtle, but there is kind of this fun creepiness, especially because it is a character you like. So then, he goes to the ground, and the power of Monster Reborn is so big, we'll get to that. But he then gets up, and he's just kind of like, I don't know why I'm fine, but I'm still here and have my memories, and I'm an idiot. If they just said the classic, he's an idiot, so it doesn't affect him the way it should, I would have been okay with that. That being said, I do kind of like but this is where it becomes problematic, the more I think about it. It's kind of like, either it should work or it doesn't work. We know that we have, 20 more episodes to go? I think, because what is it? This is supposed to go to 100 episodes, I think was the thing that was revealed. I don't know. I should probably look that up. It's kind of my job. But it's sort of just like, well, is it a threat or is it not a threat? If someone can just get over it or just like not let it affect them, can they all be trained to do that? But yeah, no, so it doesn't affect Luke, and the duel commences and he actually wins. But now that means I don't really think of evil Yuga as a threat. I don't really believe there's a problem to solve because he's already been beaten. Unless like he does something really crazy next, which he might, in which case that'd be really cool. But he loses the duel and just flies off and he's like, oh, well, I didn't lose to Yuga, I lost to you. I'm salty, damn it. He flies off. And we get our big ending revelation that the energy wave was so powerful, it took the memories away from everyone else. which, depending on how they handle this, could be really scary and really interesting. What happens now that everyone has had such big parts of their lives taken away? No memory of each other or their purpose or what's going to happen to them. If they take the time to really delve into this, it could be really fascinating, and I kind of think they will, just because, we still got we do have a decent chunk of time left. So I think that's a thing we're going to be exploring here. Again, I just hope they actually do it and don't just write the thing off as a big joke. But yeah, no, I really like that ending. Just very creepy and haunting, watching as we've watched these bonds and this excellent chemistry be built for 79 episodes. So the idea that it was just taken away in an instant, it's really horrifying and sad. And then at the end there, when Yuga wakes up in the infirmary and it's just him and Luke doesn't even know how to tell him. There's no joke there. There's no Luke being goofy. It's just Luke being like, what do I do? What do I say? It's such a heartbreaking ending, and I love it. And then for the next episode, I'm willing to believe this is the next day. I'm willing to believe, or maybe even the same day, because presumably this looked like mid-morning, so maybe this is that night. That night, Mimi got stuck shooting a commercial, and that was funny, her in the costume. I really like that. She's shooting the commercial, and it was a weird one because it's a lot of recap, but then also still a fair good amount of new footage. Then we find out the siblings are going crazy gangster on everyone's asses to stop evil Yuga and save the day. We get their backstory, which, I mean, again, it's just kind of like evil president elementary schoolers, and they're selected because they represent the attributes. It's just not very interesting to me. It turned out we weren't building to a big evil Goha president as much as just one really angry emo one. And I just don't know where that's going to go, or if it's even going to go anywhere. But when you sort of saw the backstory of what made Yuga go bad, it's kind of interesting. These kids were sheltered, brainwashed, controlled, so that way they would just be good Goha presidents. And the minute he was exposed to the real world, he took it the wrong way and got dark and angry and aggressive. And again, the way the voice actor really plays both sides of the duality of the character, it's really fucking good. But yeah, and then we find out that's what made him bad. And when he found out Monster Reborn, again, is magic in a show that is mostly science fiction, we find out that when he went to go use Monster Reborn, it was going to hurt people. The other siblings fought him, and it resulted in everyone's memories being wiped, and his mind being so messed up, it turned him into a weird furry. Or scaly, or I don't know. Okay. Alright, so yeah, and then it ends with a really funny bit where Mimi loses her chance to take over to give them a pep talk, and I really like the ending of all of them together eating spaghetti. I really think that's great. So yeah, that was 7 episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7. Dear God, what have I done? This video's 22 minutes. Someone fucking shoot me. If it sounds like I'm losing my interest in this show and wavering, not really. This is kind of how I am with everything I watch. Whenever I look at a whole group of episodes, I do tend to bounce and forth a lot in my head, good and bad. It's not that it's bad. This show is always competent, it is always creative, it is always super fucking funny, and everything about it is really well done, and I love these characters to death. I do, though, feel like, and I've brought this up several times, certain things could have been set up better. If you had the idea that there's weird magic cards, or if you explained it away with sci-fi mumbo-jumbo, you could have done that. If Goha was building in the direction of whatever the fuck this has turned into, I feel like you could have done it in a way that made that feel more fulfilling as opposed to just random. There are just little things like that you could do, but trust me, this is nowhere near as bad as how I am with half the other Yu-Gi-Ohs. But yeah, no, I am really excited to see where it goes, and if they pull this off with everyone not remembering each other, it could be fucking fantastic, and I do have enough faith in this show to make the rest of it really good. So yeah, those have been my overly long, dragged out thoughts of 7 episodes of or 8 episodes, or whatever the fuck, of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens. In the comments section below, give me your thoughts on these episodes. Did you like them? Did you hate them? Are you looking forward to it? Are you done and just ready for Go Rush? And as for the TCG question of the week, God, it's been so long since I have said that. So, the Grand Creators. This set was supposed to come out before YCS Pasadena, which seems to still be firing despite the world situation. We'll know more in the coming weeks. But if do you think it's a good thing? Again, if Pasadena still happens, I think Utrecht will probably not happen. But if Pasadena happens, are you okay with the set getting pushed back and we just get like our first big tournament back with this weird meta we've had? Or were you sort of hoping this would be a nice fun way to debut some cool new shit? Tell me that below. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and I swear I'm only reviewing this in Digimon Now weekly. We'll get to this next week.